To do the presentation, I was really confused as to like what presentation should I do, because all the people here and even online also, they are intellectually so high. I really don't have anything like to teach them. I don't have anything that I can teach. But then I thought maybe this would be an opportunity for me to present something what I'm expecting from you guys. Like you have really the power of making a change, and how would that change be done? And that's probably where my entire presentation would be uh, centered around. So I'm Dr. Pushkar Shejwwalkar. I'm a sustainable chemical management technical manager at ZDHC, and my topic for presentation is input management for the sustainable chemistry. We talked a lot about the chemicals that are used in a day-to-day life. And I think most of the topics that we did cover in the green chemistry aspects were giving the information, on hazards and how chemicals are bad and stuff like that. But really speaking, oh, I don't know what happened here. Okay. These chemicals have impact on several aspects of our life, and not only Earth. It has impact on health, as in human health, impact on land, impact on air, impact on water, impact on biodiversity, and many more. So what do we do? Why do we need a organization? We are, by the way, NGOs. Okay, so why do we need all these things? What impact does this chemicals have in our life? The examples that I'm going to give you are all available on website and real examples. These are not something made up examples. Okay. One fine day, 70 tons of dead fish were washed off at the Vietnam shore due to the release of some toxic chemicals by the steel plant in Taiwan. So you can see the effect, the magnitude, and even the distances. Also, we have by the way, we work in the industry of textile, footwear, and leather processing. So our focus is also a little bit towards that, but although we are open to other industries. One of the chemical that we do use, especially in the denim, is potassium permanganate. And those fumes are extremely dangerous, as in they create a pulmonary edema, which is in normal language, if we say, it's a waterlogging in the lungs of the workers that they use. And this is one of the really saddest thing that could happen to anyone. Okay, this is a buck belly case which has been all over the world. If you go online, if you go YouTube it right now, also you will get his interviews. Also, he went through, I don't know, some 150 surgeries, just to keep him alive, something like that. His mother was working in DuPont plant, which is in US. They were manufacturing a Teflon, a specific chemical called C8. When the lady was pregnant with him, and in spite of knowing, they still allowed her to do. And when the delivery was the baby was delivered, he was delivered with only one nostril and a lot of facial deformities. This is all because of the chemicals. So I really want you to think. I mean, I still really get a goosebump. Like how difficult the impact, how drastic the impact could be of the chemicals. Another aspect is, oh, that's okay. I don't use chemicals. I'll not use harmful chemicals. Let someone else use it, and then whatever the product is from, I'll just use that. No, that attitude also will not help, because if you read one of the article by Greenpeace, which is the footprints in the snow, you would realize that it really does not matter where the chemical is produced, where it is used, and where it is dumped. Chemicals can be carried through air, water, to all the parts of the world. An example for that is, polar bear, they are like way away from even the humanity, probably. When these polar bears' fat tissues were studied, they found the PFAS, which is, forever chemicals, which has been manufactured, I don't know, somewhere, some other, world, and they passed through the food chain, which eventually they had it and they started having these PFAS chemicals in them. So one of the questions that we asked in the earlier thing is, how many chemicals do you think? And I think a few of them really did guess a lot, that there are about 4 million chemicals that we have manufactured. Yes. Yeah, and we use it in our world right now. What is unfortunate is the next thing. We do not know the hazard of 70% of these chemicals. We don't know what is the impact of these chemicals. Have absolutely no idea. And the rest of the 30%, we know and we still use it. Okay, so that's where this is going. And out of this chemicals, there are some regulations, like for example, we know that these chemicals are bad, and therefore some of the chemicals are really like banned from using. For example, benzene is one of the well-known chemicals which is being like banned. Although there are certain other chemicals which we call them, they are hazardous and should be controlled. Okay. Then there are other chemicals like substances which are known to be non-hazardous and people do use it. So these three together makes up that 30%. Okay. And then we have a fourth quadrant, which is an hazard unknown, which contributes to the 70%. Now, how do we do that? There are a lot of organizations, a lot of international initiatives, for example, SciChem, Stockholm Convention. I think one of my peers did talk about it in the first day or second day, I don't remember exactly. Rotterdam Convention and Montreal Protocol, that, okay, these type of chemicals should be used, should be controlled and stuff like that. And also we have at regional level, like at individual country level also, like TOSCA, for example, in US, we have EU REACH in Europe, and now we also have newly Korea REACH, which is K REACH. We also have Japan list of chemicals, etc. And that is how we try to keep an eye on the effect of the hazards of this chemical. What I'm going to tell you, so before we go into that, I just would like to give a very quick, and I think this is already covered by many people during last 3 days, that the real effect of the chemicals you can broadly classify into 3 aspects. Like, one is the health hazard, another one is the environmental hazard, and the third one is the physical hazard. For example, toxicity is something that is a health hazard. We also have something called as a CMR category, which is carcinogenic, mutagenic, and reprotoxic. So these chemicals induce some carcinogenic activity or stuff like that. This is something really terrible, which is an endocrine disruptor. I do have a story on that also, but for the time being, I will not, because of the time, I will not go into the details of that. We also have other hazards such as STOT, which is a specific target organ toxicity. We have respiratory sensitization, for example, ADCA, which is one of the chemical used in the shoes manufacturing. We have a skin and eye irritant sensitizers as well. And we do have a neurotoxic developmental toxin related health hazard. From the environmental perspective, we have something called as chemicals which are persistent. For example, PFCs, PFOA, PFS, like that. We also have bioaccumulative toxic chemicals, which means that through a food chain, if you do eat them, it will stay in your body. It will keep on accumulating. So right now you may say, oh, this is at a nanomolar or picomolar or whatever the lowest amount that you can think of. It will not process in your body. So you keep eating, you will eat every day, right? If you keep eating it, it will start accumulating and eventually it will show the effect. Other environmental hazard is toxicity to the aquatic animals. And beyond that, you also have something called very persistent and very bioaccumulative. Okay. And of course, some physical hazard as well. So what I'm going to talk about very quickly is how did it all began for the textile and the textile field. So one of the regulations that was initiated was in 1975, which is for the formaldehyde, then pentachlorophenols, and then again this was for the banned amines. But remember, these regulations are for the final articles, so what you wear, you know. And this is a typical textile processing approach where you have some chemicals, you have fabric, etc. You have multiple and dynamic sourcing. You put everything into a industry. There are other steps like stitching, sewing, cutting, etc. You prepare a final article, which you remember from the previous slide, should be clean. Yes, those are clean, but all the toxic chemicals go into the wastewater. So is that really a good approach? Probably not. No, not probably. It's definitely no. So that is where the ZDHC is born. ZDHC was born in 2012 with the help of 6 of the brands, which is Nike, Adidas, Puma, Li-Ning, H&M, and C&M. Okay, and now we have brand contributions of more than 120 big brands, and we are a multi-stake organization. So we are not only relying on the brands, we have NGOs, we have academics, most importantly, you know, who are contributing to our work. What do we think? We look at the problem from a different angle. These are the outputs of any industry. For example, air emission, wastewater, sludge, and the product that they make. We focus on the input, which is the water, chemicals, energy, and the materials. If you want the product or outputs to be cleaner, we expect that this should be screened and known, so that you can take a informed decision. So safer chemical, less energy, less water, of course, we all know about that. So what is the text, like our approach? What do you think about this? When you see this picture, what do you think? What does it mean? It's a signal. Exactly, it's a signal, right? So whenever, if you remember our previous this thing, you have chemicals, you have a fabric, you know, we had multiple and dynamic sourcing. Now you put a signal, stop or go, where you can take an informed and responsible purchasing of those chemicals. And then you go further when you will have not only a clean garment, but also a wastewater, which will be devoid of all these hazardous chemicals. How do we do that? So we have a holistic system of approach where there are different aspects. Right now, my topic is only on the input, so I'll be focusing only on the input, but we also have something on processes and the output, where we make the regulations, sort of, we give guidelines as to what not to use. And that is what we call as an MRSL. MRSL stands for Manufacturing Restricted Substances List. So those are the list of the chemicals that should not be there in your manufacturing chemicals. So what we have here is it's a list of the substances which are banned from the intentional use in the commercial chemical formulation. These substances are harmful. That is why and there are different aspects, that all the hazards that we discuss, all of them were they are listed here. By the way, this is for free. You can go online and get it from roadmap20.com or website. And you purchase only those chemicals which are, we call them as an MRSL conformant chemical. So this is what the system that we have developed. We talked a lot about what not to do, but we never talked about how to do. This is how to do. Okay, and this has been established for several years now, and more than 100 brands are using this technique for their sustainable supply chain management. Last slide, sorry. Why am I here? I'm here, I mean, you guys are not textile manufacturer or footwear manufacturer, of course. I'm here to plead each and every one of you, whenever you think of any projects, please do have some sort of an evaluation step where you can have, like, some sort of a sustainability criteria on input chemicals. I saw somebody using dichloroethane in their manufacturing process. I really want, those processes to be scaled up. But when you scale up, if you still use dichloroethane, or I saw somewhere in manufacturing of MOF, they use DMF. If you scale up and if you still use that solvent, industrially, that would probably not be a sustainable solution. So my request is, all of you, is whenever you do any new project, especially from the manufacturing point of view, please do think of these aspects. And lastly, the bulk production. I mean, we do talk about a lot of like small innovations and stuff like that, but really what we need right now is the bulk manufacturing, where if you can really come up with some solution which is more sustainable, that impact will be really very, very, very high. Okay, so I will not go through this slide. This is the competence center that I represent, and Dr. Prasad Pant is here, who is, by the way, right now in Amsterdam. And as we are talking, we have something called as an Impact Day going on in Amsterdam. So if you search, you probably would find that information also. That is where we talk about how we are helping a sustainable growth. So that's our technical team. So thank you very much.